Hello crafters and welcome to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel. My name is Deepa from Designs by Dee, and today I have a beautiful fall bouquet card to share with you. Now today's video is going to be focused on different die sets, and these are mainly the Flora Paradise, and we're going to mix and match some of them to create a beautiful fall bouquet. So these are the sets that I'm going to be using. I've got the Natalia Meraki Flora Paradise. So these cut out 3 gorgeous sunflowers. We're not going to use all of these, but we'll use a couple. I've got the Iris Meraki Flora Paradise, and these have 3 main dies, and you get a bunch of pieces to put together. Then you've got the Penelope Meraki Flora dies. These cut out 3 gorgeous florals. And then I've also got the Madison Meraki Flora Paradise, and these cut out a couple flowers and some leaves. I just like the variation of these sets, and I think that they'd go together well to create a beautiful floral bouquet that is indicative of fall. So here are all of the pieces. You can see I've cut everything out of white. If you wanted, you could actually use colored cardstock, and then you don't actually have to add ink to them like I'm going to do here. But I did want to add different colors of ink to create a bit of depth and add different colors to create more of a fall look. So this is how I'm going to be doing it. And if you want to do it differently, that's completely up to you. But when you're working with inks, this is the way I like to work. I have my Altenew stamp wheel here, and what it has is a sticky mat. So whether you use this sticky mat or some other type of sticky mat, I think that these are great for adding ink to white die cuts. So I've got both of these sunflowers here from the Natalia Meraki Flora set. And I'm just grabbing some yellow inks. I think I'm using the fresh lemon. I'm going to be using honey drizzle, and then some browns as well to kind of darken it up and give it more of a fall feel. And all I'm doing is grabbing a blending brush, and I'm just adding the colors. As you can see, I'm just using a piece of cardstock to kind of block off the stem so that I don't accidentally get ink where I don't want it. And then once I've got all the yellow done, you can see I've moved that piece of cardstock up, and I'm adding some greens here. So these are more of, I'd say, vibrant greens that I'm adding since this is the sunflower. Later on, the colors of greens I'm going to be using are a bit more yellow toned, and then I'll also be adding some browns. So all of these colors were purposely chosen because I felt like they were perfect for the flower type, like for example, the sunflower, or it was really good for making the bouquet look a bit more fall related. So those are the 2 main parts of the sunflower. All I do in between is just add some ink cleaning spray, what you would use to clean off your stamps, and I just clean that sticky mat off, and it's good to go for the next set of die cuts. So I've set up a bunch here. You can see the first 4 circle pieces there are the centers of the sunflowers. I'm grabbing some caramel toffee, which gives it more of like a yellowy brown color. Then I'm also going to add some paper bag and some dark chocolate here to just deepen up the center of those flowers for the sunflowers. And this was one of the main reasons why I did not go with colored cardstock, because with the colored cardstock, you're going to get one tone. If you want to make this easier, you don't want to use as much ink on white cardstock, you could cut out a lighter shade of the color that you want to use, and then use deeper colors on top to kind of give it a bit of depth. So that was my main reason for using the white cardstock here. I want to use a bunch of colors. I want to make these florals a bunch of different colors, get some light darks, and maybe add tints of brown in order to create the fall bouquet. Now, for the center of these flowers here, I'm actually grabbing a smaller blending brush. You can see it's more of a detail brush, and I'm using a darker red to kind of fill in the center and give it a bit more interest and detail. And then what I'm going to do is grab the darkest red from the set, which is, I believe, grapevine, and I'm just going to add a little bit of ink to the edges there. And this just really gives the flower more depth. And just like normal flowers are, they're not one flat tone. There's like a gradient of colors in it. So this was just to make the flowers look a bit more realistic. Now I'm coming in with these more yellowy greens. I've got olive and moss, and I'm adding the olive, which is the lighter color, on top. And then once I've done that for the stems and then these 4 leaves or leaves. I'm going to go ahead and come back with the moss, which is a deeper green in this color family. And I'm not going to add it everywhere, just on like parts of the edge where I feel like there'd be more of a shadow, maybe right at the bottom of the leaf where it would attach to the flower to give it more of a deeper tone and more depth that way. So I'm just trekking along here, and I think I've got my second last set of die cuts here. Now, because of the sticky mat, it's got a nice large area. I can stick a whole bunch on at once and just add my colors as I feel like I need to. There was one little stem there that I had missed from that set, so I just added it. I added ink to that last little stem using the ink that was actually left over on the brush, so I didn't even ink up the brush again. So that's how great these brushes are. They really absorb that ink and get it onto your die cut. So here for these ones, these flowers, I'm actually grabbing some yellows. So these are like yellowy orange colors. And again, as I mentioned, I chose my ink strategically. I've got reds, I've got yellows, I've got browns, and with my greens, I've got yellow tone greens that are going to be mixed with a bit of brown. All of these colors together really are indicative of fall. Now, you could use this exact same technique, the exact same idea for this card, and you could actually make this card work for different seasons. So don't forget that. Maybe you want to pick some other sets of die cuts that maybe are more indicative of, say, Christmas and put together a Christmas bouquet. Now, I just wanted to explain that so that you would know that this design works for any season. You could put together florals that are more indicative. Maybe you want tulips for spring, and you could add spring colors for that. So really, it's all to do with the type of flowers and the colors of inks that you choose. So I've gone ahead and picked some beautiful like peaches and browns for those flowers that I just showed there. And now I'm just doing the extra stems, leaves, and then at the top left, you can see those little anthers. Those go in the center for those peachy brown flowers that we just did. And as I mentioned, you can make this work for any season. Now, Crafty Meraki is really nice. They have a ton of floral dies. There's so many different kinds to choose from. You could pick whichever works for the bouquet that you want to make. And I love that they are piecewise dies. So if you wanted, there is another video. I will link it in the top right corner here, where I do show you how to make your florals have a bit more of a 3D look. You could check out that video too if maybe you wanted to grab one set of these florals and just give it that nice, elegant 3D look. So anyways, now that I've got everything inked up, I'm going to go ahead and assemble the ones that need assembling. So for example, the sunflowers here, you can see I'm just adding a piece of foam adhesive behind, and then I'm just adding the pieces, inlaying the pieces as they would fit into the sunflower. So that sticks everything together, and it performs two functions. It's not only sticking together my pieces and putting my flower together, but all I have to do is remove the release paper at the back and it can stick on my card already. So I've added my adhesive and I'm ready to go. So kill two birds with one stone there. So I've gone ahead and added the center for those flowers there. And then the last thing is to add those anthers to those little cut flowers. So now I can go ahead and put these together. Now I've got some other foam squares here. They're a little smaller and they work better for these smaller die cuts. So I went ahead and switched up my foam adhesive here. And the first one I didn't do right. What you want to do is kind of put the anther where you want it and then stick the foam square on top. That way that foam square is ready to go. It's stuck the anther to the flower and then you just have to attach it to whatever you're attaching it to. In this case, I used some liquid glue to attach the stem to the flower, and then I'm also going to use some liquid glue to attach the leafy bits to the stem, just because this flower is a little different than the others. It's a little more delicate, and I find that fall flowers are a little more hardy. So, you know, I picked out these flowers because I really like them, but they're probably not indicative of fall, but that's okay. No one's going to notice. So here is my trick, and I'm sure you've seen this before, but I never used to use this trick, but it is really good. It saves a lot of time. You can see here I'm doing some flower arranging. I'm arranging my flowers on my card base. And please do keep in mind that my card base here is actually a 7-inch by 5-inch card base. So this is a larger card. It's not your typical A2 size card. It's an A7 size card. And I did cut it down just a little bit so that it would have a border when I put it on my card base. So it is actually 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, so that as I said, when I put it on my card base, I get a nice white border around it. So once I've got all of my flowers kind of arranged here how I want them, I'm going to stick the extra little leaves in between. And those leaves are good for covering up stems that don't fully go to the bottom of the card. So as I do this, I'm trying to make sure I'm covering up the bottoms of the stems that aren't long enough to reach the bottom of the card. Now, once I've got everything where I want it, I'm going to grab my press and seal, and I'm just going to stick it on top. Make sure I'm kind of pressing it down to pick up all the pieces. Now, I did have a piece of adhesive that was kind of sticking out, so it's kind of hard for me to pull up that center cup flower. So that's why you see me having a bit of trouble there. But other than that, everything comes off nicely. And you can see that one other cut flower just won't stick. So you can always, if you have a flower here or there that doesn't fully stick to the back, rearrange it from the back. And then what I'm going to do is turn this over, and I can add some extra foam adhesive to the back so that I can in the areas where the branches and the leaves and all of that and the flowers kind of overlap. By putting the foam tape on top, I'm not only securing those pieces together, but it'll also allow me to attach this to my card base. So I did add a bit of liquid glue to the bottom of the stems because the foam was a little bit too thick to fit back there. So the bottom pieces are stuck on with glue. I've turned this over, attached it to the card base, and now I've got some extra little leaves that I want to fit in. I'm just going to use some liquid glue to stick those in. There's only a couple, so I just wanted to make the bouquet a bit more full here. Now I'm just cutting off the excess bits at the bottom. Now you see that there are bits that overhang at the top and at the edge. I want to leave those. Now for my sentiment, I'm grabbing the Elegance set. It has a gorgeous sentiment that says everything grows with love. So I'm just stamping that out with some pine cone Versamark ink. I chose the pine cone because the brown kind of, again, fits the fall theme, and it's not as stark as, say, the black on white, so it kind of goes with the rest of the card. Now I've attached the coordinating die, and I'm just going to cut this out with my Sizzix Sidekick here, and my sentiment is done. All I have to do is attach it to my card, and I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive to do that. Since the card has a lot of foam for the flowers, I really don't need to add more to the sentiment. And since that sentiment's on white and the background is red, it goes perfectly. Now for my card base, because this is not a normal size, what I tend to do is take an 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock piece. I cut it at 7 inches, then I'll turn it, score it at 5 inches, fold it like so, and then I'll stick it back in my cutter and cut off the excess bit. And there's my 5 by 7 inch card base. Don't really need to do too much measuring, and it's really simple to do. So now I'll just attach the actual floral bouquet. And that's pretty much it. Now I do have 2 extra little tidbits of fun to add a bit more interest to this card. One is the stickles here. So this is icicle stickles, and it has a nice shiny effect. The glitter in this one is a little bit chunkier, so it is really shiny and nice. And I'm not doing anything too complicated. I'm just kind of following the grooves and the lines of the die cut. I'm not putting it everywhere in every line, but just in the centers and, along the main lines, just to give these die cuts a bit of interest and a bit of shine. Now, once I'm done with the stickles, I do have the Crafty Meraki gold opal gems, and I'm going to go ahead and just add an odd number of those. I ended up putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, which is usually my go-to number. And that's pretty much it. So that is my fall floral bouquet card for you today. I hope that you've liked this video. If you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to be notified of future videos. And please do check out the Crafty Meraki store. Everything that's been used in the video is linked in the description below, and these Flora dies are absolutely amazing for bouquet making. I hope that you've been inspired, and I hope to see you guys again. Please don't forget that you can always mix and match your dyes to create beautiful floral bouquets and change up your colors to match the season, in this case fall. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.